He's talking about now general officers, meaning the senior leaders. And these apply to every leader, not just senior leaders. There are more tired division commanders than there are tired divisions. Tired officers are always pessimists. Remember this when evaluating reports. Generals must never show doubt, discouragement, or fatigue. Generals should always adhere to one type of dress so that soldiers will recognize them. They must always be very neat. And most importantly, from my perspective, I like what he says here. In cold weather, general officers must be careful not to appear to dress more warmly than the men. You don't want to do that. You don't want to be in the comfort zone when the boys are suffering. You look like you're debating that
No,
statement.
I'm not debating. I was
That's
thinking about it.
Because you're about to get shut down.
I have a question.
Send the question.
So, let's say you're a boss, right? You have this office, and this office is like decked out. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, everyone on your team, they have normal offices. Is that an example of what he's against?
No, generally because you actually do have more work to do. You have to have meetings in your office, and it's interesting too because I didn't highlight it in this for this series, but they were saying that General Patton wasn't a 4-star general. He was a 28-star general because when he would put his full uniform on, he had 4 stars on his collar, on each collar, 4-star on each shoulder, 4 stars on the helmet, and 4 stars on each one of the handles of his pearl-handled pistol grip 45s. So the guy was like a little bit of. I mean, that's a showman. That's a diva, right?
Yeah.
So he didn't. He knew that there's a certain amount of showmanship to being in a leadership position. And that's sort of what he's talking about by being recognizable. I mean, he's very recognizable. He had stars all over his cars and everything.
Yeah, so it's more like the comfort of battle. So
yeah, but you could, as a CEO, you could absolutely take that to the wrong level where you're, just living in total luxury and all your people are out and, cramped into cubicles. That, your folks would definitely look at you in a negative way.
Yeah.
But to have what's needed for the job, when I was TU commander, I had an office that was mine, and I had space in there to work.
Right.
But I wasn't, shipping in steaks for me to have every night while the men were eating
right.
MREs.
Yeah.
So you just got to be careful. Keep yourself in check a little bit.
What about when you travel, you go first class, meanwhile you send your team in coach?
That once again, sometimes the boss is traveling in first class because when he lands, he's got to present, and he's got to be a little bit better rested. Sometimes the boss man is just sick of being cramped in the little tiny seats. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you got to keep that in check. And I'll tell you, when I worked for the Admiral of all the SEALs, we didn't fly first class. We were in the cheap seats. They are very careful about that. They don't want to think that the military elite is flying around first class. No, we were in the cheap seats, sitting in the back of Delta, eating peanuts.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many justifiable reasons in business, I think you would go along with that too.
But you just got to use your judgment. You got to use your judgment and make sure that, everyone's wearing, a 10-year-old field jacket when it gets cold and you're wearing a brand new down and Gore-Tex jacket.
Right.
Your people are going to not respect you.
Yeah.
You can't just deck yourself out when the boys or the troopers are suffering.
Yeah. Yeah. And how he mentioned how you mentioned what he's talking about, where it can be categorized as being recognizable.
Right,
so there's a lot of things, even stuff outside of just uniform, that a CEO, how he presents himself, that'll keep him recognizable.
Yeah.
For all these reasons, but I'm sure most of the time no one's perfect where they're gonna start doing it just because.
But you do have to. And, there's good business leaders now that follow this type of lead. I mean, look at some of these new younger business leaders. They're not getting decked out.
Yeah.
When I saw a picture of the guy that runs Facebook. I saw a picture of his closet the other day. He's got like a bunch of gray T-shirts in there.
Right. And he, from what I hear, I haven't been to the office or nothing. He he doesn't have an office. There's this open space, everyone's coding and stuff like that, and he's just cruising in there as well. You know, so yeah, I guess there's all kinds of different.
So people relate to him a little bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it would depend on the business as well.
Yeah.